talk a little bit about black culture logic today. Um, you know, I grew up in a black community and went to the black church, which was predominantly Christian, um, and was subsequently indoctrinated with a lot of the uh, Christian values that are taught in the black church. Uh, as you start getting older and growing up, um, you start to see the realities of the world. And you start to see that some of the teachings that you were given in the black church don't always correlate with what's real. So, one thing I noticed about the black church, and yes, this is a little bit of a criticism, but it's just something that needs to be said. It's been going on from generation to generation to generation, and I think it needs to be out there that in the black church, they teach this foundation, uh, which is for the most part true, but I think the spin on it that's put in the black church causes a little bit of uh, retrograde movement versus uh, progression. And that topic and that slogan is tomorrow's not promised. Now, I know everybody has heard it. Um, Black people say it almost as a defensive mechanism when when speaking to you, but their spin on it is more so to justify their primitive behavior. Okay, so let me explain this, what I mean by this. So, again, tomorrow's not promised. The meaning of the slogan is that, you know, you may not get a chance to experience tomorrow, or you may not be as well off as you are today tomorrow, or you may be dead tomorrow. Okay? All's true. But what it does to black people is it leads them to living life purposelessly. They live a purposeless life. So all the primitive behavior, the primitive decisions that black people make, such as reckless spending, having children uh, without thinking of the future, uh, acting on impulse, emotion, is all validated with the slogan, tomorrow's not promised. So, what I noticed is that the black church reinforces this strongly, strongly. And then I started wondering why black culture wasn't advancing. Why wasn't black culture progressing? There's a number of reasons I've come to in my assessment, and you can look at my other videos and you can see what I'm proposing. But this tomorrow is not promised logic that is used in the black culture gives black people no reason to plan for the future, no reason for the next generation to be better off. See, it's a foundation by which there can be no growth. You see, so while it's a true statement, it leads you to living purposeless. You're just here. It's like going into a theme park, Six Flags. You know, when you're born, you go into Six Flags, all right? And you go in and just ride as much as you can before you leave, because tomorrow's not promised. That's how black culture views life. When you're born, do as much as you can. If you got something on your mind, you better do it, because tomorrow's not promised. So what happens here is you live without purpose. So my argument to those people who live by this level of logic, which I'm not saying is wrong or right, my argument to you is, what's your end goal? Or do you even have one? Because if we're basing everything on tomorrow's not promised, there's no reason for planning, building, none of that. You see, which goes along with my theory of primitive brain dominance. See, the primitive brain doesn't use logic. It goes based on how it feels, the emotions. It's almost reflexive. See. And for my assessment, that is what black people have. It's primitive brain dominance. You see. So anything that looks appealing or emotionally stimulates them is what they're going to be attracted to, what they're going to hold tight to. You see? See, there's no logic in being emotional or being reflexive or doing what you feel. There's no logic involved in that. You know, if they give you a hymn to sing at the church, the hymnal is written in a structured way, in an orderly way. But when black people get it, they're going to sing it based on how they feel. They're going to put a little ad-lib on it, put a little soul in it. And it's because it feels good that way. See? Your typical black musician at the church, for the most part, the typical one, he doesn't know how to read any music. But his ear is so advanced. That part of his rhythm processing in his brain is so advanced that he could hear that music one time and play it better than the guy who wrote it. You see, that's because his strength is his primitive brain. His strength is reacting on his emotion and how he feels. See, that's his strength. That's what's magical about him. You see. So you got to understand that this tomorrow is not promised logic. It leads to black people living without any consideration of the future and the next generation at all. Another thing is I want to talk about is how black people know nothing of contribution and preservation, but know everything about the hustle in putting themselves in position to be owed something. So let's just use for example. This is why a lot of brothers like me are a little bit timid about placing businesses in the black community. Because while, yes, it's a good thing, it's a noble thing to put in the community. It's something that they would need to improve the community. But you got to understand that the majority of those people there don't have any idea of how to improve the community or what to do, what their part in it would be. When they see a service or a business in the community, they just see it as something they can use when they need it. They don't understand anything further than that other than when it comes to supporting the business to help preserve it so that it can continue to service the whole community. That's as far as their mind goes. You see. And to add to that, not only do they know nothing about contribution and preservation, they know how to scheme. They rather spend energy on how to scheme in getting something for nothing. The dishonorable way. See? So you got to be careful putting a business in the black community. I, for one, a doctor, been there. I know what they'll do. Black community is largely Medicaid. There are some private insurances, but you see, the Medicaid people are poor. And when you're dealing with these people who have this free insurance, they're more likely to sue you than support you. See, they're coming in to put themselves in a position where you owe them. Just looking for you to make a mistake. You see, whereas you're in there to help provide service to them. You're more relatable. You're someone that they can relate to. But I'm telling you right now, they don't see you that way. They see you as an opportunity to get what they need. And also an opportunity to put themselves where they're owed something. They don't understand the concept of contribution and preservation. They don't. It's not there. And I'm telling you this because to understand that is a component of intelligence. You have to be intelligent to know how things work and how things continue to operate. But the lower brain people, the lower intelligence people, They just see it as an opportunity to get what they need or an opportunity to put themselves in a position where they're owed. So you have to be careful when you go and decide you're going to put a business in one of these communities. Now, automation is on its way. And I would say if you can put a business up that's fully automated, do it. That'll be safer. Okay. But you need to understand that the intelligence is lacking. So there are brothers and sisters out here asking, why do black people always asking for the hookup? Why they always asking me for the hookup? It's because they lack the intelligence to understand that the support is needed from them for you to continue to provide service to them. It's as simple as that. It's a lack of intelligence there. See. And it's also, as a black woman or a black man, particularly a black man, you have the universal presumption of disorderliness. So you don't have the same value, not even to your own people, as the other cultures, the races of people do. You don't. You can have the very same product, but because you're black, they don't see it as the same value. Now, the only way to fix this is to repair the image of the black man being honorable. That's the only way. There's no other way. Okay? Honorable means that you're able to adhere to the order of things. You hold it in high regard. At the moment, black men don't in general. So the image of the black man has to be repaired in America, so to speak. So I just wanted to lay those gems on you. Be careful out there. There's a lot of things going on. Things are changing. Protect yourself.